Hi everyone, my name is Jim Giles. I'm a senior analyst for food and carbon systems here at GreenBiz. I want to welcome you all to GreenBiz Studio and to welcome my guest, Anne Alonzo from Corteva, who is the Chief Sustainability Officer and Senior Vice President for External Affairs. Welcome, Anne.
Thank you, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing good. I hope you're doing good too. We are here to talk about some of the ambitious carbon and sustainability goals that you have. So why don't you kick off by telling us all a little bit more about those goals?
Sure. Thank you, Jim. So Corteva, one of the world's largest pure play agriculture companies, a year after we launched as a public company, we announced our 14 sustainability goals. And what we did is essentially publicly commit to increase the resilience of our global food system over the next 10 years. And these goals, were ambitious, but achievable. And we're so excited in advancing them. And, some of the goals, there's 14, and we have four different pillars of which they fit under, speak to carbon and to climate. And, I know that this is very important to many, and maybe I'll just touch on a few, but in our operations, we've made a commitment to manage and reduce greenhouse gas emissions in our operations and our supply chain. And we're presently in the process of establishing a 10-year climate strategy by June 1st of 2021. And in terms of our farmer customers, one of our other goals is to help increase crop yields by 20% while also reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 20%. And how do we do this? Well, we're cutting edge in terms of our best practices and the innovations that we put in the marketplace. And so some of our technologies, and I'm thinking of one in particular, which is called Optinite, it's shown to maximize the yield potential of crops while reducing nitrogen and leaching, and then reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And that's a real important goal that we're going to work quite closely with, our farmer customers on. And so, in addition to these direct goals that impact climate, we've pledged to improve soil health on 30 million hectares, advance water stewardship, and enhance biodiversity on 10 million hectares. And we're so excited about these goals. In fact, the entire company, this is basically embedded in our business, in our DNA, in our values, and our purpose. And so, we hope to, by June of next year, also release our first annual report that's going to, basically measure and share how we've stacked up against these goals. And again, these goals are over the next 10 years. We've also, very interestingly, there's been a lot of interest in our goals and in what we're doing on climate. We recently partnered with Microsoft on conservation practices, and we aim to develop together innovative approaches to dealing with ecosystem assets like sequestered carbon and nitrogen. And so together, we're leveraging these practices to really create additional revenue streams for our customers. So we're just excited about, the goals and then in particular, the climate goals, because we know that's very important for our environment and for our planet.
Yeah, this is exciting stuff. When you talk about higher yields with less carbon, that's really exciting. And I'd imagine really challenging. So sort of maybe give us an example of one of the two challenges that you think you're going to have to tackle as you roll out these efforts.
Yeah, well, we have a big task ahead of us. We have to double productivity in just the next 30 years to feed our growing global population. And we're going to have to do this at the same time that we're protecting the land and the water and the air resources that make food production possible. And not to mention our farmers who are on the front lines of the impact of a changing climate. So I just think the complexity, the enormity, but the fact that it can happen and we're helping it happen makes us very excited. We spent a little time over the past 2 years when we were defining the goals and identifying what we'd be committed to, we spent the past 2 years meeting with business leaders, with government and civil society to figure out ways that we could work together to tackle this and to tackle a climate positive agriculture industry. And so these commitments that we've made, they're a direct result of the learnings that we had from these sessions. They were very informed by what we heard from our farmers. And we know that we can achieve these goals without sacrificing, productivity or farmers' profitability.
Yeah, so interesting. And I'll certainly be keeping an eye on progress that you make toward these goals. But before we wrap up, just quickly share a couple of words for other companies who are in this space and want to be chasing similar targets. What would you advise them to do?
I guess what my advice would be is to really make inspired commitments and take courageous actions. It's never been more important. Corteva announced our goals right in the throes, right in the middle of this pandemic and all the uncertainty. And so we did it, and we did it, enthusiastically. We all came out, our company, throughout the company and very publicly. So we hope that this is inspiration for others to do the same, and really inviting others to make more targeted innovation investments. This is so critical. And collaborating across the value chain with other stakeholders, and put even a greater focus on the needs of the world's farmers and consumers. And so I really challenge us to press forward in this regard. And I think that we can accomplish a lot together, Jim.
Great. Thank you, Anne. And like I said, I will be looking forward to keeping track and learning more about your progress towards those goals. But for now, thank you so much for coming to Greenbiz Studio and sharing your news.
Thank you, Jim.